Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Elizabeth Wimberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Today, we're talking about why is my ego making my suffering special? So, what that means is basically our egos have decided that what I went through is so fucked up, so beyond fixable, so unique, so horrible, so whatever, that there's no way that I can heal, get better, that I can have a life I love again, or whatever the block is around it. But our suffering is so special, so unique, so untouchable, so whatever, however the story is manifesting for you, that there's no way that you can move past that and heal your energy and have the life and space and things that you want. So, one of two things is usually going on here when this happens. So, the first is that you have not allowed what happened to you to have the proper space that it has. You haven't allowed yourself to feel it. You haven't allowed yourself to come to the full realization or acceptance of what happens. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person, doesn't mean that anything's wrong with you. Sometimes, we have to not give things the full space that they need to have in order for us to survive. So, I get it. But if you don't allow yourself to, you know, be a victim, like to really hold and accept what happened to you, or to mourn what happened to you, or to grieve it, or to, give full space for whatever emotion you're feeling, then there's no way you're ever going to be able to work through it. So, the first reason why our ego makes our suffering special is because we don't give ourselves permission to hold space for, to acknowledge, to allow, to, let any of these things be what actually happened and then hold space for them. So if you say, oh, okay, I should just be over this, or this wasn't that bad, or someone has it worse than me, or why am I so upset about this? The truth is, things happen in our lives for many different reasons. And sometimes that reason is, so we can heal something else that happened. And so you don't have to judge your response to something. You don't have to judge, put a value judgment or a quantifiable information on that this shouldn't be as intense as it is, shouldn't be as bad as it is. You shouldn't have to put any of that on yourself. So if you aren't allowing what happened to have the full space and capacity of what it was, then your ego will always tell you, my suffering is special, and that, I don't deserve to mourn it, to acknowledge it, to grieve it, to whatever. And then the second thing that could be going on is that you might be scared to reach out for support. So sometimes, if we have rejected the self, or we have a lot of self judgment, or we have a lot of blame and shame on the self, then we might not feel comfortable saying, no one could ever understand what happened to me. This is too catastrophic to ever move through. This is so permanent that I am fucked up for forever, right? Whatever story is going on with that, then you might be too afraid to ask for support because your ego says no one is as fucked up as me, or no one has it as bad as me, or this is so bad that there's no way anyone could ever, or me could help move through this and make it be okay again. And so we have to understand that reaching out for support when we feel like we don't deserve any, when we feel like it can't help us, when we feel like we're too fucked up, when whatever, then that just blocks us from allowing abundance into our lives and allowing healing to begin. So I have another video on toxic independence. So that's one way we can go when we're wounded. And then we can also go into codependence, which is where we're too enmeshed with other people. But as humans, we are an interdependent species, and we do rely on love and care and support from people around us in order to heal and move forward and feel like we're living a life that is abundant and healthy and things like that. And so if you have only had unhealthy people in your life, or people who kind of like dismissed what you went through, or people who didn't affirm you, then of course you're going to have this space where, I'm too fucked up, or what happened to me is too fucked up, or there's something inherently wrong with me that I can never connect with someone else. It makes sense that that's your story, but you have to remember that there's nothing that you have gone through even if it's not exactly the same, that someone else on earth hasn't gone through or they haven't worked through or anything like that. So anytime the ego says this is too much or too whatever, that's all your ego. Probably, and if you have one bad experience with someone, or like I said, someone wasn't able to love and support and hold you in a healthy way, that doesn't mean that you need to completely write off getting help and support. You just didn't find the right person right away. And the fact that you have the thought that you aren't worthy of support or you can't be helped or whatever your story is, the fact that you have that thought means that there's some part of you that knows that you deserve support, that you're thinking about reaching out for it, that it could help you. And so you have to remember that pushing through the ego thoughts around, my suffering is special because it's too fucked up, it's too this, it's too that, it's too whatever. The thought to be healed and to have support and to work through this is there. It's just your ego is trying to blame and shame you through it. So again, if your ego has made your suffering special, then this is, again, not something else to judge, blame, or shame yourself about. This is just something that has also happened to you and something else you can work through with that. And so one way how you can start to move through this is just get clear about, what is my story? Why do I think my suffering is special? Why do I feel like I'm not worthy of support? I can't find support. What's the block around that? I don't feel like that this can be healed or cleared or moved out for me, or like what is it? And you don't have to judge it. Just let your ego talk, let the story come through. You can meditate on it, you can journal, you can free write, you can walk and ask for guidance to come through. You can pray about it. So just getting clear about, what is that limiting belief that's alive for me right now that is making me feel like my suffering is so special that I can't connect to anything outside of me that could possibly be support, love, care, validation, healing. And again, this is we always have to do our own work, but we can definitely have love and care and support outside of us. Like I talked about, we're interdependent beings, to help us move through things like that. So the first thing is to get clear about what those stories are. And then the second thing is to get clear about, okay, if none of that was true, how would I go about having support for this? And if you feel so blocked around that, then just think about it like, if my best friend, someone I love and care about unconditionally, if you have a child, if you have someone, a mentor or someone who you're close with, if they came to me with this and I non-judgmentally listened to them for their situation, what would I think would be something they could do to seek help? And again, this isn't about controlling anyone else, but if we can remove ourselves from being emotionally stuck, then we can connect to some divine guidance. So for example, do you need to talk to a therapist? Do you need to find a support group around what you're going through? Do you need to just even accept what happened and journal about it? Do you need to just mourn and hold space that this happened to you? Did something happen to you and you just feel like so powerless about it that you can't even understand or anything like that? So there's resources are available, no matter your situation, no matter what's going on. Watching this video on the internet is a wonderful tool for many, many things for you to reach out and connect to and, have access. And so a lot of times the ego, if we are very wounded, especially, we have some trust issues, of course, we have some fear of getting better. We have, this belief that my life has been so bad for so long that there can't be anything else. But again, the fact that you're sitting there watching this video still pretty far deep into it at this point shows that some part of you believes that there is a solution, there is an answer, there is a way out for you. If you didn't believe that, you wouldn't be watching this video. And so again, anytime your ego tries to make your suffering special, tries to make what you've gone through so bad or so intense or so whatever that you can't get out of it, that there's no hope or support for you, just remind yourself that, okay, the fact that my ego has resistance to this means that there's something that I can gain from this. If everything felt fine and there was no challenge, then it would mean that there wasn't anything to grow and work through, because the ego doesn't want us to change just because it's trying to keep us safe. Because even if it's something familiar that we don't like, at least it's familiar. And it's not scary because we know what's going to happen. So just understanding that because my ego is pushing me to do this and this thing doesn't mean that or my ego is trying to make me not do this and this thing by staying small, doesn't mean that there's not hope or a solution or help for me out there. It's just understanding anytime the ego tries to tell us that our suffering is special, that this is a way that it blocks us and keep us stuck. And I can promise you that there is a coach, a community, a friend, anything out there who will love and support you unconditionally and help you work through, the ways that you feel alone and a lot of judgment on yourself. Okay, I hope this served you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here. If you ever want to work with me, all of that information is linked below. And I hope you have a wonderful day.